Hello, my name is Gloria Robert. Today, we shall be looking at the topic sexual reproduction in plants. Our major focus here shall be on flowers. Objectives of lesson. By the end of the lesson, the learners should be able to 1. Define flower. 2. Mention the floral parts of a flower and their functions. 3. Draw and label the internal structure of a flower. 4. Highlight the parts of the stamen and the pistil. 5. Define plancentation and give the types. And 6. Mention the 3 types of ovary. What are flowers? Flowers are the reproductive structures of a flowering plant. Now, in animals, we say they have their reproductive organs. So flowering plants too have reproductive organs, and those organs are called flowers. So we can as well say that flowers are the reproductive structures or organs of a flowering plant. Flowers can also be said to be a cluster of modified leaves. That means you can define flowers as clusters of modified leaves as well. Note that fruits and seeds are produced from flowers. Yes, the fruits you eat and the seeds you eat, they are all formed from flowers. However, not all fruits are edible. So here we have images of flowers showing the external and the internal view of flowers. Take a look at the images. Now, flowers are borne onto flowering plants by flower stalks, meaning flowers are attached to flowering plants by what we call flower stalks or pedicels. And the floral parts of a flower are arranged in the receptacle. The receptacle is also called thalamus. Now here we have the 4 floral parts of the flower and their functions. The first floral part is called calyx. A single calyx is called sepal. This part of the flower is green in color because of the presence of chlorophyll, and so it is used for photosynthesis. The second floral part is called corolla. A single corolla is called petal. This is the colorful part of a flower. So we can have them in red colors, we can have them in yellow, purple, can even have them in pink and so on. Now this part helps to attract pollinators for the purpose of pollination. Number 3 part is called Androecium. Now a single Androecium is called stamen, and this is the male reproductive organ or part of the flower. And the last one is called Gynoecium. A single Gynoecium is called carpel or Pistil. It's the female reproductive organ or part of the flower. Now take note that when sepal and the petal look the same on the flower, they are collectively called perianth. Now the sepal are the green part of the flower, the petals are the red part and the colorful part of the flower, which can be red, purple, pink or otherwise. Now when they look the same on a flower, they are collectively called perianth. Also, the floral parts of a flower may be 1, 2 or even more. Now if there are 2 or more on a flower, they can be fused together or free, meaning united or separated. So let's look at them like this. Now when you have many sepals and they are free, separated from one another, we call it polysepalous. When they are fused together, it is called gamosepalous. When you have many petals and they are free, it is called polypetalous. When they are fused, gamopetalous. Now, a flower can have only one carpel, and that is monocarpous, or several carpels, that is polycarpous. So when you have several carpels, polycarpous, they can be free or fused. When they are free, they are called apocarpous, and when they are fused, they are called syncarpous. So here we have the structure of the flower. So we want to look at the parts of the flower. Now, the longitudinal section of a flower shows at the right hand side the part called stamen. The stamen is made up of the anther and the filament. So take a look at the location of these parts. At the left hand side we have the pistil. And so the pistil include the stigma, the style, and the ovary. Okay. Now Apart from that, we have other floral parts such as the sepal, which is the green leafy like part. We have the petal, which is the red colorful part, and we have other parts such as the flower stalk or pedicel, which attaches the flower to the plant, and we have the receptacle where all the floral parts are arranged. So as a student, you should be able to draw and label this structure correctly. Now the sepal and the petal are the non-essential parts of the flower. Why? Because they are not involved in sexual reproduction of the flower. While the stamen and the pistil are the essential part of the flower because they are involved in reproduction of the flower. So let's move on. We are going to be discussing the structure of the stamen and the pistil, and so we start by looking at the stamen. Remember that the stamen is the male reproductive organ of a flower. The stamen is divided into two. The first one is the filament, which is a tube-like structure. From this image, the function is that it holds the anther. Anthers are located on the filaments. Now the second part is called the anther. The anther contains the pollen grains. So if you look at the image, you see the full image of a stamen, and of course the anther, which has been cut into two, and inside the anther we have the several pollen grains located. Note that filament can also be fused or free as well. So also let's look at pistil, structure of the pistil. The pistil is the female reproductive organ, and this part is divided into three. The first one is called stigma. Now the stigma is the one that receives pollen grains during pollination. So check the video on pollination for a better understanding of this. Now the second part is called the style. It connects the stigma to the ovary. The last part is the ovary itself, which contains the ovules. So the ovules are located inside the ovaries or ovary, and also it becomes the fruit at the end of the process of fertilization. So here we have image showing how the pistil or carpel look like. Now the pistil has three parts, don't forget: the stigma, the style, and the ovary. And inside the ovary we have the several ovules. Next we shall be talking about placentation. Now this is defined as the arrangement of the ovules within the ovary of a flower. Note that I said that ovules are located inside the ovary. So the arrangement of these ovules, the way they are arranged in the ovules, or the way the ovules are arranged in the ovary of a flower, is what placentation is all about. Now the ovules are attached to the ovary by a fleshly structure called placenta. So the fleshy structure called placenta helps to hold the ovules or attach the ovules to the ovary. So it's like the stalk of the ovule which helps to attach it to the ovary. Now let's look at types of placentation. There are 5 types we shall be talking about here. The first one is called marginal placentation. Now in this, ovules are arranged at the margin of the ovaries, meaning the ovules are arranged at the side on a straight line. So if you look at the image here, you see all the ovules, and you see the way they are arranged at the side of the ovary in a straight line. Now you can find this in beans, you can find them in Pride of Barbados flower, you can find this kind of marginal placentation even in flamboyant plants and so on. Now the second one is axial platentation. Now here the carpels meet at the center to form the placenta for attachment of the ovules. So if you look at the image here, we have at the center the ovules attached. Okay, now not only that, you can see that it has 3 different chambers. So we have 3 different chambers, not a single one, and this kind is common in tomatoes, pepper, garden eggs, okras, and so on. Alright, now let's move on. The next one we are looking at is called parental placentation, and ovules are arranged to the side of the ovary or within a single chamber. Now this is a little bit different from axial because it has a single chamber only, and all the ovules are arranged at the side in a circular way. So this is common in purple. Now the fourth one here is free central placentation. The ovules are borne on a knob projecting from the base of the ovary. So at the center you see all the ovules attached to the projected knob. Okay, now this is common in water lily. The last type is called basal placentation. Here the ovules are attached to the base of the ovary. The simplest of them all, ovules are attached to the base of the ovary, and so it is common in flowers such as sunflower. So you should be able to mention all the types of placentation. The first one we have marginal placentation, the second one is asile, the third one parietal placentation, the fourth one free central placentation, and the last one basal placentation. So let's move on. Here we have the categories of flowers. Flowers are grouped into different categories, and we shall be discussing them one after the other. The first category is called solitary or inflorescent flowers. Now when a plant has only one flower on it, such a plant is called solitary, and such flower is called solitary flower. But when a plant has several flowers borne on it or found on it, clusters of flowers, such plant has inflorescent flowers. Okay, now the second category we have unisexual or imperfect, or bisexual or perfect flowers. So we can have unisexual flowers, meaning they have just one of the reproductive parts of the flower. So it's either the flower has only the stamen or only the pistil. Okay, such a flower is also said to be imperfect. It has just one out of the two reproductive organs. But if a flower should have both, I mean both the stamen and the pistil on it, such a flower is said to be perfect. Okay, so you can check the images to have a better understanding. Now flowers too can be categorized as complete or incomplete. A complete flower has all the floral parts on it. For example, it has the sepal, the petal, the stamen, and the pistil. Such a flower is complete. But if it misses one or two, if any of these floral parts are missing, such flowers are called incomplete flowers. So if you look at the images here, the first one, number one, we have all the floral parts mentioned, but in the second one something is missing. Can you guess? Yes, the pistil or the female part of the flower is missing, so that makes it incomplete, while the first one is complete. Another category we'll be looking at is monoecious and dioecious flower. Now monoecious flower, if you have a plant with the two reproductive organs on it, so we have flowers with the two reproductive organs on it, such is monoecious plant, and the flowers are called monoecious flower. If you look at the image where we have monoecious plant or flower, we have a single plant, and on that plant we have the male part of the flower and also the female part of the flower on it. Now why dioecious flowers? Now we have two different plants, each of them having just one of the reproductive structure. The first one has only the female, while the other one has only the male. So this makes it dioecious plant, and of course the flower dioecious flower. The last category we are going to be looking at is called regular and irregular. Now when we say regular flower, it has the same size, the same shape of all the floral parts, and so it also has petals or floral parts that are evenly arranged, and because of that they can be cut from any side to give you two equal parts. Okay, so that makes it has radial symmetry, so you can cut it from top to the bottom, one side to the other, or diagonal from both sides. You still get two equal parts, so that makes it radially symmetrical. While the irregular, all the floral parts don't have the same sizes and shapes, and of course they are not evenly distributed or arranged, and so you can only cut it in one way, up to down, and so irregular flowers are said to be bilateral symmetry flowers as well. So let's move on to types of ovary, and this is where we shall be drawing our cuttings. Okay, now the position of the ovary in the receptacle determines the type of the ovary. So ovaries are determined by the position of the ovary in the receptacles So there are three types of ovary which I'll be looking at. So the first one is called superior ovary. Superior means to be above, right? Okay, so here the ovary is above all other floral parts of the flower. Such flowers are called hypogynous flower, and example can be seen in hibiscus and magnolia flower plants. Okay, the second one is half inferior ovary. Here all the ovary is at the same position with other floral parts of the flower, and so such flowers are called perigynous flowers. You can see this in rose and in plum flower or plants. The last one is inferior ovary, number 3. Inferior means below. Okay, so the ovary is below other floral parts, such flowers are said to be epigynous flower, and so we can see that in guava, sunflowers, canna lilies, and so on. So here we have the images representing the three types of ovary. Superior, above, so ovary is above every other floral part. Half inferior, the same position, so the ovary is at the same position with other floral parts. Inferior ovary, below, so the ovary is below other floral parts, and so here we have them. Please study them and try to also draw them yourself. Wow, we've come to the students activity. So we have 10 questions here to test your understanding of this topic. So it's time for you to get to work, get your papers, get your biros, and start solving, start answering them. Okay, now if you are not able to answer any, please don't be bothered, don't feel agitated. Go back to the video, watch it again, view it, download it, and have it for yourself. And at the end, I believe you should be able to answer all of these questions and even more questions on flowers. Yes, it's time for you to answer, to mark your answer. Yes, so this is the answer to the students activity. 100% is our goal, so start marking. At the end, I want to believe you had 100%. Congratulations to you. But don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are a new watcher. Please like my channel, click the notification bell, drop your comment, and of course view my videos. So at this moment, I say thank you so much for joining me in this session. Thank you for learning.